Welcome you all back. My name is Miranda Snow. I am the Fall Prevention Coordinator here at Central Ohio Primary Care. And in the last series for our fundamentals of fall prevention, we're going to talk a little bit about bone health and just overall healthy eating too as we age. So go ahead and dig in here. In regards to our bone health, vitamin D and calcium in the aging body and why that's actually important. Vitamin D and calcium go hand in hand in the prevention of age-related osteoporosis. And what osteoporosis is it's the weakening of our bones as we age due to the decreased amount of those minerals that are found in our bones. So that's why this vitamin D and calcium really kind of go hand in hand in regards to our bone health. And it can be really challenging for us to get enough vitamin D and calcium, especially as we start to age. But vitamin D helps us with the absorption of our calcium. It helps to promote the normal mineralization of bones, but it also plays an important role in muscle contraction and nerve conduction as well. Calcium, a little bit easier for us to get into our diet, which we'll talk a little bit about ways we can get that in. But calcium is a mineral needed to help our body build strong bones. So vitamin D helps us to uptake that calcium, but calcium helps us to make those bones stronger. And it also does help our muscles and nerves conduct those signals that they need to, but it also plays a role in our blood vessels and how they transport our blood throughout the body. So not just in relation to bone health, but vitamin D and calcium also play an important role in other sources as well. Other ways that we can kind of help our bone health as we start to age, weight-bearing exercise is another good one. So I'm sure you've heard this before, that in order to increase that bone density, we need to weight bear on our bones. So if we are sedentary for an extended period of time, it can actually decrease our bone mineral density. Ways that we can incorporate our weight-bearing activities can include walking. So if you're somebody who likes to go for long walks, especially in the summer, it's a great option. Sit to stands are another one, especially in the winter time, which we are in now. So those sit to stand exercise where you are sitting in a chair and then standing up, sitting back down, that can help us to increase our weight bearing activity as well. And then when we think about that, helps us with our lower body, right? And through our spine, weight bearing through our spine, which is where osteoporosis is most commonly seen. But we also have to think about our upper extremities as well. So some ways that we can incorporate some weight bearing activity to our upper body include wall push-ups. So if you go stand up to a wall and you just push against that wall and come back down like you're doing a push-up, that can get that weight bearing activity through our upper extremities. But then we also think about resistance training and how that can help improve our bone density as well. And with resistance training, our muscles all attach to our bones. So even though we aren't actually bearing weight, we are still getting some tugging on those bones and some resistance in those bones, which can help us to improve that density as well. So when we talk about bone density, when should we talk to our doctor, or what should we talk to our doctor about? If you believe that you may be experiencing a vitamin D or calcium deficiency, it's really important to talk with your doctor. Vitamin D is also known as our sunshine vitamin. So if you're somebody who doesn't get out in the sun a lot, or just living in Ohio in general, living in the northern hemisphere here, we don't get a lot of sunshine. So it can be harder for us to get that vitamin D from the sun. It's pretty simple to go in if you ask your doctor for a vitamin D and calcium test. They'll just do a simple blood test to determine if you are actually vitamin D or calcium deficient. And then if they find that you are low in these supplements or in these minerals and vitamins, then they may recommend that you supplement to help support your overall bone health. So that can just increase the amount of vitamin D and the amount of calcium that we have in our body to help us build that bone back up. But you also might want to talk with your doctor if you start to experience multiple falls and are at risk, or somebody who is at risk for having osteoporosis, or if you've already have been diagnosed with osteoporosis. But as always, talk with your doctor before adding any new supplementation or medication to your current regimen. And then when we talk a little bit about food, so food can really play a role in if we're getting enough of those vitamins and minerals. And vitamins and minerals are important as we age. And as we age, a lot of things can change as far as our appetite and our diet, all of that. But it is important for us to continue eating food from multiple food groups to help us decrease the risk of a lot of different chronic diseases, including high blood pressure, diabetes, and heart disease. Protein is a big one that helps us to maintain muscle mass, and protein is actually something that a lot of older adults don't get enough of, but it is known as the body's building block. So that's what helps us to build those muscles, get stronger, improve our balance, improve our strength, and continue to be independent, which is what we all want to do with fall prevention. So some protein food groups that you might not think of. So lean meat, obviously, seafood and eggs, those are all great sources of protein. Dairy is another good source of protein, but some people are vegan and they don't eat meat products or they don't eat dairy products. So other things to think about are those beans and peas, great sources of protein, soy products, and then unsalted nuts and butter. Or nuts and seeds, I'm sorry. So nuts and seeds can also hold a high amount of protein as well. Just making sure to keep them unsalted so that way we can really regulate that sodium content that we're getting. So as we age too, we think about how our thirst starts to diminish. So to combat that, we really need to make a conscious effort to continue drinking fluids. Maybe that means that you get yourself a water bottle or a water glass that you fill in the morning and you try to have that gone by lunch, and then you get another one at lunch, just to kind of help make a conscious effort to be able to get those fluids in. And then we want to focus on some specific nutrients as well. So we want to focus on potassium, calcium, vitamin D, and vitamin B12. Those will help us to maintain a healthy lifestyle and weight and the proper amount of exercise as well. But the ability to absorb some of these vitamins decreases as we age. So B12 being one of the big ones, and medications can contribute to a lot of the decreased absorption of some of these medications. So when we think about calcium, what are some products that have calcium in them? I feel like everybody always goes to, well, dairy products. Dairy products have a lot of calcium in them, which is great. If you're a milk drinker, dairy products are great. If you're not a milk drinker, dairy alternatives also are fortified with calcium. So that would be something to consider as well. Collard greens, kale, so any of those dark leafy green vegetables have a good amount of calcium in them. Sardines and salmon. So our soft fish, typically that have the bones in with them. So that's where we're getting that calcium content from. And then orange juice is another one. So not necessarily just orange juice, but a lot of our juices are fortified with calcium as well, just because we know everybody doesn't drink dairy product. Drink a dairy product. And then when we think about potassium-rich foods, so these are a little bit different. We think of beet greens, lima beans, yams, spinach, so still some of those dark leafy greens, right? Baked potatoes are another good one for potassium. Tomato juice, pumpkin, which I find is always interesting because not a lot of people eat pumpkin. Corn, bananas, melons, apricots, raisins, and peaches as well. And vitamin D, so as I said, vitamin D can be really challenging for us to get the proper amounts in. Dairy products are always fortified with vitamin D, but same is true with our non-dairy alternatives. They are also fortified with vitamin D. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Our salmon and sardines also have good amounts of vitamin D in them. Orange juice is always fortified with vitamin D too. And then mushrooms. So mushrooms, particularly grown under UV light, have more vitamin D content to them, because with vitamin D, our body and other plants are making that vitamin D from the sun. So that's why mushrooms grown under a UV light are a little bit more beneficial as far as vitamin D goes. But, getting out in the sunshine is another good option to get that vitamin D, just being cautious and not spending extended amounts of time out there because it's not good for our skin health either. So a little resource for you guys, you can utilize the myplate.gov to help you to create an actual meal plan and a diet plan for what would work for you. So this is just the link to that MyPlate. So you want to plan for your week when we're talking about creating a My Plate plan and just making a plan for our food. So we want to create a plan for the week, and we want to attempt to plan that week out prior to us going to the grocery store. So that way we can have what we need on hand that week. It can lead us to less kind of falling back into old habits because we have all of those foods accessible and ready and already there. Another thing to do is plan to use leftovers throughout the week. So it can be challenging as we age, not just as we age, but it can be challenging cooking for one or two people. And so I think planning to use those leftovers throughout the week is a really great option because we then are able to not eliminate some food waste, but also kind of vary our diet. If we cook maybe 2 or 3 meals a week, but we use those leftovers in between, that can still give us some variety to our diet, but make us not feel like we're eating the same thing every day, too. And then using what you already have at home. So maybe for you, frozen vegetables are easier and more convenient. And you have some of them at home. Go ahead and utilize those. If fresh vegetables aren't going to keep for the whole week, those frozen vegetables or even canned vegetables are a fine option. So when we talk about fruit, how much fruit is needed for us? Older adults need 1.5 to 2 cups of fruit a day. And fruit's good. It's naturally low in sodium, fat, and calories, and it contains a lot of those essential nutrients that we talked about. So potassium, dietary fiber, vitamin C, and folate, but it can help us to reduce the risk of chronic diseases as well. Vegetables, so we need about 2 to 3.5 cups as an older adult a day, and they are naturally low in fat and calories, but they have really good sources of vitamin A, vitamin C, folate, dietary fiber, and potassium. And adding those vegetables can be an easy way for us to help increase our fiber intake. And then protein, older adults need between 5 and 6.5 ounces a day. And the protein obviously is a good source of protein in that building block for our muscles, but also it contains a lot of B vitamins, vitamin E, iron, zinc, and magnesium. And protein really functions as the building blocks for bone, muscle, cartilage, and skin. So it has a lot of benefits overall health there as well. And we talk about dairy. Our dairy products, we need about 3 cups a day, and that provides health benefits to maintain strong bones, and it can really help us to improve our calcium, potassium, vitamin D, and protein contents, which helps us to strengthen those bones, right? When we talk about grains, we need between 5 and 9 ounces of a day of total grains, and they can reduce the risk of chronic diseases. Carbohydrates, they also contain carbohydrates, dietary fiber, B minerals, or B vitamins and minerals. And it can be important for us too to help utilizing those whole grains can help with our weight management as well. So when we think about shopping, I know it's in today's times, it's super expensive for us to go to the grocery store and to even think about our grocery budget and what that looks like. Excuse me. But when we think about shopping on a budget, some tips here. Try to buy those fruits and vegetables that are in season. Try not to buy them when they're out of season. They're out of season, they have to be shipped in from a further distance, so a little bit more expensive. Or if, fresh fruits and veggies aren't something within your budget, consider buying fruits and veggies that are canned. And 100 fruits that are canned and 100% fruit juice and veggies that are low in sodium. That can be a good shelf-stable option as well. And then rice and pasta are always budget-friendly grain options. So those are always a great option. And then when we talk about our protein options, we can think about ground beef and sausage. So those are some lower cost protein options, but also thinking about buying in bulk and freezing. So maybe if you take a trip to Costco monthly, you do a lot of your shopping there and you don't get like as many fresh veggies and stuff or fresh fruits, but you get a lot of stuff that's frozen. So then you can buy it in bulk and it can be frozen for you. Eggs are another great low cost option. So As we age, it can be challenging. We hit on the fact that it can be really challenging to cook for 1 or 2 people, but trying to make eating a social event is a good option for us to improve our food as we age. Maybe it means that you enjoy cooking with family or friends. That can make it a social event for you and make it a little bit more fun. Adding those fruits and veggies as snacks is a good tool too. You can look for already cut and washed varieties, so then you don't even have to take out all that prep work. You don't have to take it home, you don't have to wash it, you don't have to cut it, you don't have to figure out where you're going to store it. It's already cut and washed, ready to go for you. You can limit your salt, but try adding spices. There are so many different spices out there that you can add to your foods to give them some extra flavor, to change that variety up a little bit. Maybe we get tired of eating green beans all the time, but if we add some spices to that, that might help us a little bit. And then reading those nutrition labels and really understanding what's going into your food. And if you think that for whatever reason you might not be getting enough of a nutrient, talk with your healthcare provider prior to supplementing that nutrient, because it may be something that you do need or it may be something that you don't need. So always talk to them and really weigh out what the risks, the the benefits versus the risk of adding that supplementation in would be. That's all I have for you guys today. I want to thank you guys for attending our fundamentals of falls slides. I hope you guys got some valuable information. But yeah, hopefully we will see you all in the near future. Thanks.